y siempre fue así, ¿no? Una cosa...
Pope Francis's sister has spoken out about Cardinal Luis Antonio Tagle, and suddenly, all attention shifts to the question of who could carry on Pope Francis's legacy. Enter Cardinal Tagle, often referred to as the Asian Francis. He's not only seen as a potential papal successor but as someone whose heart aligns deeply with Francis's values. His compassion, humility, and dedication to serving the marginalized reflect everything Francis represents. Tagle is a theologian with a warm smile, a shepherd with a gentle spirit, and a communicator who reaches both the powerful and the powerless. Maria Elena Bergoglio, Pope Francis's sister, has lived a life far from the spotlight, one rooted in love, quiet resilience, and unshakable will. Her story speaks of a family bound by both sorrow and grace. The Bergoglio family was never famous. When Maria Elena was born, they were simply working-class Argentinians, humble, hard-working, and full of heart. Their father, Mario José Bergoglio, worked on the railways with worn hands and a calm spirit, while their mother, Regina Maria Savori, kept the family strong with unwavering faith. Though they lacked wealth, they were rich in love. In that kind of home, children quickly learn what truly mattered. Maria Elena, the youngest of 5, saw her eldest brother Jorge Mario Bergoglio, who would later become Pope Francis, as her protector. To her, he was just her big brother, always there when life got hard. The other siblings, Alberto Horacio, Marta Regina, and Oscar Adrian, all had their own paths, but now, Maria Elena stands as the final keeper of their shared legacy. When their father passed away, Maria Elena was still a child. While many would crumble under such loss, she had something special, Jorge Mario. He became more than a brother, he was her mentor, her guide, almost a second father. He taught her how to dance the tango, to laugh even when it hurt, and to stay strong through life's storms. Before we go further, I'd love your support. I'm working toward reaching 10,000 subscribers by the end of the year. If you enjoy this kind of content, please consider subscribing. It really means a lot. Jorge was always her anchor. When he left for Rome, she felt like a part of her went with him. Yet, not even the Vatican could break the bond between them. Even after becoming Pope, Jorge never lost touch with who he was or where he came from. He called her often, just Maria Elena, no titles needed, because true love doesn't need recognition. When Jorge was elected Pope Francis in 2013, the world rejoiced. Maria Elena, however, cried. Not from a lack of pride, she was proud, but because she understood what the role would demand: distance, responsibility, and sacrifice. In a moment of deep honesty, she confessed she prayed he wouldn't be chosen. It was selfish, she admitted later, but I was afraid of losing my brother to the world. And who could blame her? Many of us know the pain of watching someone we love drift away as life calls them in another direction. But Maria Elena didn't let that pain grow into resentment. She stayed grounded. At Jorge's request, she skipped his inauguration and instead donated the money to charity, a quiet act that speaks volumes about who she is. While the world fixated on Pope Francis, Maria Elena remained private in Argentina, avoiding fame, turning down interviews, and ignoring book offers. When she did choose to speak, it wasn't to seek the spotlight. It was to show the world the real Jorge, not just the Pope, but the man who swept floors and read her bedtime stories. She's described him as strong enough to lead the church, still filled with the same humor and stubbornness he always had. She doesn't sugarcoat anything, and people listen, because her honesty is rare in a world filled with polished images. A mother. A fighter. A survivor. Maria Elena raised her own children with the same quiet power she inherited from her parents. Among them is Cristina Bergoglio, an acclaimed artist based in Madrid, making her mark with a paintbrush rather than a crucifix. José Ignacio Bergoglio, another sibling, has spoken about their family's legacy with a sense of both pride and humility. But Maria Elena's story goes beyond being a sister or a mother, it's a story of survival. In 2015, her health took a serious turn, and she was hospitalized. Despite the threat, she didn't give in. She smiled through it. She fought. and later, when she spoke about that time, there were no complaints. Instead, she talked about how laughter helped them cope, how humor kept them strong when everything else failed. She holds on to the memories of her siblings, the late Alberto, Marta, and Oscar, like precious treasures. Not to grieve, but to remind herself that even after death, love remains. "My family has endured a lot of sadness, tears, and pain," she once said. "But even in our hardest times, we've found moments to smile and laugh, and that gave us the strength to carry on." These aren't just words that describe her life, they define it. They speak a universal truth, that even in the darkest moments, laughter is the first light. And when it comes from someone who's experienced such deep loss, it hits harder. It heals. While Pope Francis has transformed the Catholic Church with messages of kindness, humility, and reform, Maria Elena has quietly been a pillar behind that transformation. She lived those values long before the world was watching, not for attention, but because they were a part of who she is. She doesn't appear on magazine covers. She doesn't lead masses. But through her quiet strength, she's shown the world that true humility isn't weakness, it's the deepest kind of strength. Maybe that's the most powerful lesson her brother ever learned from her. If you've ever been the one holding your family together through grief, watched a sibling rise while you stayed in the background, or chosen love over jealousy and faith over fear, then Maria Elena's story will resonate with you. She represents the unsung heroes, the ones who don't seek the spotlight but keep love burning in the darkness. Before we continue, I'd really appreciate your support. I'm aiming to reach 10,000 subscribers by the end of the year. If you could hit that subscribe button, it would mean a lot. Now, let's turn to Vatican insiders and their thoughts on who could be the next pope. The death of Pope Francis has left a deep void in the heart of Catholicism, and it's sparked one of the most uncertain papal elections in recent history. If you care about tradition but also hope for change, this moment might speak to you in a powerful way. Pope Francis changed the game. Over 80% of the 135 cardinal electors heading into the Sistine Chapel this May were appointed by him. That means his influence will linger, but not in a clear or predictable way. Francis didn't just fill the College of Cardinals with like-minded thinkers. He chose men from different theological perspectives, cultures, and corners of the world. What remains is a blend of voices, ideas, and hopes, which makes this conclave nearly impossible to predict. Experts ranging from veteran Vatican journalists to retired diplomats agree, the 2025 conclave is a mix of spirituality and politics with no obvious favorite. There's no standout candidate, no clear consensus, just a global church in search of a new leader during uncertain times. So what exactly are the cardinals looking for? This isn't a job interview. It's a sacred decision. But make no mistake, they're looking for traits that matter in today's chaotic world. A reformer or a traditionalist? Will the next pope continue Francis's bold changes or guide the church back to its older identity? Administrative strength, can he navigate Vatican bureaucracy while tending to wounds across the globe? Pastoral sensitivity, can he walk with the suffering, show empathy, and truly lead by compassion? A global outlook, can he be a pope not just for Rome, but for the world? These are the real questions. These are the stakes. And every whispered conversation and quiet alliance is rooted in these concerns. Let's take a look at the names generating the most buzz, because while the outcome is unknown, these are the figures that Vatican watchers are watching closely. Pietro Parolin, 70, from Italy, considered the Vatican's steady hand. As the current Secretary of State, he's the Church's top diplomat. Calm, calculated, and deeply experienced, Parolin is viewed as a reliable, stabilizing figure. He's a centrist who knows how to keep the Vatican machine moving. He's a favorite among betting markets and AI prediction models. Many traditionalists respect him. But there's concern. His involvement in the controversial Vatican-China agreement has raised red flags. And some question whether he's too bureaucratic and not pastoral enough. Then there's Luis Antonio Tagle, 67, from the Philippines, often called the Asian Francis. If Francis had a spiritual heir, it might be Tagle. Emotional, expressive, and beloved in the global south, Tagle represents mercy and compassion in action. He's known for weeping during sermons, embracing the poor, and inspiring young Catholics. He's also a powerful symbol of the Church's shift toward Asia and Africa. In a world that longs for justice and inclusivity, Tagle feels like a breath of divine hope. Following the Vatican's recent shakeup of Caritas Internationalis, previously led by Cardinal Tagle, questions have emerged about his ability to manage large-scale administration. Some insiders quietly doubt his leadership grip. Matteo Zuppi of Italy, age 69, is known as the People's Pastor. A calm and unassuming figure, Zuppi is deeply admired for his outreach to marginalized communities and his dedication to peacebuilding. As a loyal supporter of Pope Francis, he brings grassroots spirituality to his role as cardinal. He has played a key part in promoting interfaith dialogue and assisting refugees in Italy. Vatican insiders consider him a strong bridge builder. His main drawback? Limited experience in Vatican politics, a weakness that could stall momentum during a conclave. Peter Erdo from Hungary, age 72, is a theological heavyweight. A canon law specialist and a more conservative voice, Erdo appeals to cardinals who believe Pope Francis moved reforms forward too quickly. For those seeking a return to structure and tradition, Erdo may be the candidate of choice. However, his rigid approach might alienate progressives and representatives from the global South who are calling for a more compassionate leadership style. Peter Turkson of Ghana, 76, stands out as a peacemaker and powerful presence in the Church. His career has focused on pressing global issues such as climate change, peacebuilding, and economic justice. With a commanding voice and reputation for building bridges, Turkson could become the first African pope in over 1,000 years. Still, despite the powerful symbolism, many insiders believe the path to an African pope remains uncertain and challenging. Mark Owlett from Canada, now 80, is a seasoned Vatican figure. A conservative with a warm pastoral style, he has long been a fixture within the Roman Curia and knows its inner workings intimately. Yet, given his age and involvement in recent controversies, many believe his chances have likely passed. Papal conclaves don't begin with ballots. They begin with whispers, quiet conversations, late-night discussions, and the nuanced process of building consensus during general congregations. This is where alliances take shape, favorites rise and fall, and compromise candidates emerge. Vatican insiders are quick to point out, conclaves aren't political battles, they're spiritual negotiations, steeped in prayer. The most popular candidate at the start often isn't the one chosen in the end. Though the cardinals may not form strict factions, each enters the conclave with their own hopes for the Church's future. The challenge lies in choosing someone who can unify rather than merely win. Enter the world of betting markets and artificial intelligence. Yes, even algorithms are weighing in on the next pope. AI systems analyze everything from public opinion trends to historical election patterns. Betting sites update their odds constantly based on inside chatter and international speculation. At present, Poland leads many AI-driven predictions, though Tagle and Turkson remain strong contenders. These tools aren't foolproof. They can't read the minds or hearts of cardinals. But they do offer a glimpse of which way the global winds are blowing. Still, even the most advanced models admit, this is one of the most unpredictable elections in the world. What makes this moment extraordinary isn't just the uncertainty, it's the possibility. For the first time in modern history, we may witness the rise of a pope from Asia or Africa. The Church could once again turn toward the margins, toward compassion, toward the people. If you've ever believed that faith should be grounded in real-world struggles, that it should comfort the broken, reach into the dust, and listen more than at lectures, then your hopes rest on this conclave. Because the next pope won't just guide a church. He'll shape hearts, influence global policies, and carry spiritual responsibility for millions across continents. This isn't a mere leadership transition. It's a spiritual rebirth. And when white smoke rises above the Sistine Chapel and the world strains to hear a new name, everything changes. Whether it's Parolin, Tagle, Zuppi, Erdo, or a completely unexpected choice, one thing will be clear: the Church is still alive, still grappling, still reaching. So don't just observe this moment. Feel it. Embrace it. Pray for it. Because what's unfolding isn't just politics, it's prophecy in motion.